What's up, everybody? Captain America Brave New World is out, and boy, did it go through some controversy before making it to the premiere. But the most important question is, was it as bad as everyone was saying? Let's get into it. I thought the movie opened incredibly strong with Ross becoming president, and then the church action sequence, we got that immediate chemistry between Joaquin and Sam, on top of the dynamic between Ross and Sam with their history. That honestly gave me a bit of hope, but I might have gotten ahead of myself a bit with that hope. I did feel that both here and just throughout the movie, Giancarlo Esposito was wasted in the movie, in the sense that they were holding back to unleash him in the Serpent Society in a future project. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's a wait and see thing, but overall, I thought the movie started strong through the attempt on Ross's life. But I also feel like I've seen quite a few people say they actually don't like the start of the movie, so who knows, maybe I'm on an island with that, so let me know if you liked how the movie started down in the comments below. Anyway, the second act is where things get rough. It's a lot slower after the booming start. There were some good character moments here, to be fair. Again, most of them between Ross and Sam, where Ford and Mackie are able to elevate the weaker moments in the script with their presence. I did also end up liking Ruth's involvement there because it represented that, the fact that Ross hasn't changed despite him saying he has over and over again, having a former widow assassin as his security. But like I said, this is a portion of the movie where the weak script really shines through. You don't get those Steve and Sam moments from Sam and Joaquin, not because of Mackie and Danny Ramirez, but because there's just nothing for them to work with. That's why, despite the fact this movie wanted to be Sam's Winter Soldier, it couldn't reach that, with these moments bringing the movie down instead of elevating it. And it pains me to say this, but it's kind of like the veggie Winter Soldier. Then the third act was a mixed bag for me. It started strong and started winning me over again, but then it finishes with the anticlimactic ending of Ross being talked down from Red Hulk. It's not necessarily bad, because Sam, he draws him to where he and Betty used to walk, the cherry blossom field, and when fighting him fails, he resorts to talking him down. That's a fine concept, but the execution is a huge swing and a miss. Bucky's appearance wasn't bad here, though, and I actually think, all things considered, that scene right there was the best they've handled Sam taking the shield from Steve since he handed it to him in Endgame. It's not that he's better than Steve, it's that he's different and brings the potential to be just as good, if not better. This was just a great moment in the movie, and I actually avoided this spoiler here, so it was a surprise cameo and an impactful one too. I also did enjoy the Red Hulk fight despite it being anticlimactic. The action itself was good, it's just that it felt like the middle of the story, not the end of it. I guess it also didn't help that, to me, this was a portion of the movie where the reshoots were obvious and kind of took me out of things. They were really bad after the Red Hulk fight too, in that cherry blossom field. It looked like a completely different movie. But I want to circle back and focus on the action because I thought it was damn good, and it's a damn shame that they cut the movie the way they did. In fact, I'd say that the choreography for the movie and the stunt work by the cast and their doubles was great and brought down by the choppy editing. I mentioned the church fight, and that was just the start of it because the way they have Sam use both his vibranium wings and the shield is amazing. That boy's been throwing that thing around the trees down in Louisiana, but even when it was, as Sidewinder said, Captain America caught without his shield, Mackie threw down. But there's an awesome move when all the navies are going at it, and Mackie's in the air and he needs to deflect from behind, so he has the what's it, the red thing, the red robin, whatever, his little bird that he dispatches. That thing's flying behind him with the shield on. It's so dope. The hallway stuff we got at the leader's lab was really cool too, and it actually ended up being Ruth's one chance to show off her widow history, with her character being sent through the butcher shop behind the scenes. It was just really cool. But again, it was just chopped to hell for seemingly no good reason, unless it was that terribly directed that they just had to do this, which I find that very hard to believe. Regardless, the aerial fights were spectacular, and they were the best of the fight scenes when the four countries were going for Tiamat. the CGI on Sam and Danny, it was a bit off. It looked a bit goofy when they're running to take off, but once they're in the air, it's Top Gun vibes for the boys until Joaquin is shot out of the sky. Then, and I know we didn't get to see much of it, and the people will probably be upset about that, but I loved that Red Hulk fight up until the therapy session at the end. Which, since we're already talking about Red Hulk, let's just get into these villains because we had three of them with three great actors, and all of them were disappointing for the most part. Like I said before, Giancarlo as Sidewinder still has potential because this was such a blatant setup, but I still thought he'd have a stronger presence in the movie than he did. Then the leader was far and away the most disappointing part of the movie for me. I mean, I've been hyping him up like no other. I've made multiple videos about how awesome he was going to be in this movie, but they were hiding him in the trailers because they shit the bed crafting his part of the story. You just can't have this weak of a script when he's the villain of your movie, especially when he's making his chess moves behind the scenes, because it quickly turns into him just telling you how smart he is without backing it up. That was a major problem, but I didn't love the look either, and I'd be very interested to ask Tim Blake Nelson, the actor, how the look evolved. It does not feel like that was the original plan. There's also another thing from the original plan, and I've talked about this on the channel before too, that got cut, and that's Amadeus Cho. You see his picture when Sam and Joaquin are in the leader's lab, and it sure as hell looked like Logan Kim, who'd been rumored to be cast in the role. I don't know. It would have been nice to have a Hulk on Sam's side in the end, but I digress. Finally, you've got the Hulk he fought, Red Hulk and Thaddeus Ross, obviously one and the same, and that was only as good as it was because of Harrison Ford. That's how it felt to me, and he's so great in that moment that Red Hulk almost comes out on the Navy ship. That element of him being played by the leader because of his greed and the failed promise to him that's born out of his pride for serving his country makes this being a Captain America movie, but also an Incredible Hulk sequel without the Hulk make a little more sense. Not total sense, but a little more sense. Then I want to end on a positive, and that's the cast for me as they fought through a tough script to deliver pretty solid performances all around. Again, I was disappointed with what Tim Blake Nelson got to work with outside of the credit scene, which I'll finish the video covering. He just doesn't get to exude the intelligence he's very capable of doing that would have made the leader a strong villain. But I thought the duo of Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie was probably the strongest part of the movie. Their scenes together were the best scenes for each respective character, and there's no doubt about it. I thought Mackie was good on his own too, but he's definitely held back by the script, and more so when he's not working alongside Harrison Ford. Most of those scenes without Ford for Mackie were with Danny Ramirez, who was kind of relegated to being annoying as Joaquin, despite Danny's talent. He did bounce back towards the end. To be fair, they just missed the mark overall with the character in this movie, just like Joaquin did before he was shot out of the sky. Oh, just kidding. That was mean. Anyway, Carl Lumbly might have sneakily stolen this movie because Isaiah's scenes held so much emotional weight and most of the emotional weight in the movie, and it was almost all on his shoulders. He really delivered when his time came, each time it came, and he's also just got a badass presence to him that's so fun to watch. On top of that, Liv Tyler came in at the end for that one scene at the Raft prison, and she stepped back into the role of Betty Ross without missing a beat. And it might sound like a silly thing, she only had one scene, but it was like she's been looking into the eyes of the men she loved who were Gamma Beasts for the past 17 years. Then, and some of you will probably want to cover your ears for this one, I thought Shira Haas was good with what she got because that character was sliced and diced on insane levels after the backlash. Like, can we just be real for a second here? Every single time you go to see a movie, every single time there was somebody who worked on it that you wouldn't like if you knew everything about them. It's okay to say somebody delivered a good performance where this work was good while not agreeing with every single thing they've done in their life. Let's be adults. And I'm sorry about that little tangent, but the morale police online are just so fucking annoying. The final cast member worth mentioning was Giancarlo Esposito. One thing that he did, and I haven't mentioned yet that I loved, was the eye movement when he's talking to Sam. And I don't know if you know he had contacts in or something here, but it gave off the snake vibe to back up his role without the snake features, obviously. Finally, we got one credit scene that came after about 50 minutes of credits, and I've seen a lot of people, saying it was a nothing burger, but I felt like it had a lot, so maybe it was just poorly written, or maybe I'm reaching on what I saw. Either way, it was Sam going to see the leader in prison, and he warns Cap of the threats that lie in the multiverse. Yes, it's vague, but to me, it was immediately obvious what he's talking about. He's not talking about no Kang, which we don't even know if we're going to see him again anyway. It's not that. He's not talking about little Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, although it would be pretty damn cool to see Tim Blake Nelson return in Secret Wars, ruling over a section of Battleworld that could be like Gamma World, but it's not Doctor Doom. He's talking about the other heroes from the other Earths, or, it might just be one incursion, so one other Earth, but that doesn't really matter, that are going to come when the incursions start happening in Avengers Doomsday. He's poking the bear without the bear, Sam, knowing he's being poked, asking if he's got it in him to fight other heroes who would essentially just be trying to do the same thing he is in protecting their planet, and that right there, folks, is why we need the Illuminati. But that's going to do it for my Brave New World review. It's a weird case where, I am disappointed with the movie, but I still enjoyed it too, as the movie overall is fun because of how much I like that cast. I'd say if I put my heart to the side and gave a real true review, it would probably be a 6 out of 10, but I'm going to give it a 7. Let me know what you thought of the movie though down in the comments below, and make sure you have a great day.